So a couple of days ago, I made a post about how I was using the API for DeepSeek and for Claude, a couple other models as well. But I use these pretty heavily the last few days. And when I say heavily, I mean at least, 10, 12 hours of professional software engineering work. And I got a lot of messages from people asking me how to set this up. And sometimes I forget, not everyone that follows me is a engineer or programmer. But if you have a little bit of familiarity with the terminal, you can set this up pretty easy. All you really need is Python, and I would heavily recommend that you use WSL or Linux, something like that. You can do the steps pretty similar to Windows, so it'll give you a good idea of what to do, and I'll include the commands in either in the post or a comment. So I'm going to start from the top. I'm going to just make a directory. And then I'm going to cd into that directory. And I'm just going to go ahead and So I'm just going to go ahead and install the virtual environment first. If you're not familiar with that, all it is basically a directory that holds all the packages that we're going to use for this. So it's a pretty simple command. It's going to be Python, whatever version you're running. Usually it's going to be version 3. They call it venv, and then let's call it Open WebUI. So give that a second to create. Then we're going to hit the command to activate it, which is going to be source. Apologize. Source, whatever you called it, and it's going to be bin and activate. Now, one thing to note, if you're using Windows, the command is going to be slightly different, and I'll include that in another post, but essentially the same thing. What you want to do is you want to activate the environment so you can have those packages and libraries that you're going to be using, and this way it doesn't muddy up your entire system. It'll just live within its directory. So now that you have that, all you're going to do is you're going to run pip install Open WebUI. And it gives us a second. There is quite a bit of data and packages and all that stuff that needs to be downloaded. So it's probably going to take you about 5 or so minutes. So I'll come back to whenever it's done. Okay, so that took a second. And now you have all of your packages, libraries, and whatnot installed on the virtual environments. Now you're just going to run the command Open WebUI serve. And the first time it loads up, it's going to take a second. After the initial load up, it won't take as long. Okay, so now it's running, and I'll show you a quick example. Okay, so it's loaded up, and now I'm going to go to the environment. It's just port 8080, and you can change that from the command. The initial load up here will make you make an admin account, and this doesn't really matter. You can just put in whatever because it's not actually going to a server. I'm just putting tuna. So now you have an admin account, and again, this is completely local, so you can make it however you want to. So now for the actual part that lets you connect the API and save the money, you're going to come under controls, or admin panel. There's going to be a section for settings, and then there's going to be the connection settings. So off the bat, they have a couple of things already, mostly for OpenAI and for Llama. So if you're using Llama, it's already configured for you. I'm already running Llama, so it's already picking that up, picking the ports that's default, and already has the models loaded that I have. So that's pretty nice. As far as the actual connection, most of them are going to be using the same API. But if you want to use OpenRouter, which I would recommend, OpenRouter just pretty much gets you all the open source models or any model in general, and it'll try to find you the best price and the best speed. So walk you through exactly how to do it. So you're going to come. This is not a real key, so please don't try to steal it, just in case. So you'll get this long key, and you're only going to get it once. So make sure you put this somewhere secure. Then you're going to go to, 1 second, edit connection. You're going to put in the key here. And once you put in the key, what you want to do is you want to slap in the API base URL you're going to be using. And for Open Router, it'll just be the same always. So I'll show an example. So I'll look for DeepSeek because that's what I'm in love with right now. So I'm going to use the 70B and the API URL. It'll always be this for Open Router. If you want to use another API, you can. You just got to come configure it over here. Then once you have the URL and the API key done, you're pretty much set up. You can have the model IDs, or it'll just pull all of them if you don't put that in here. So I'll save that. And then when I come to chats, you'll see that automatically it has some loaded up. And I'll just run a random. So that was it. Pretty simple. I heavily recommend that you use Open WebUI. It's pretty good. They have a ton of plugins that you can go install from the website. You can load up prompts. You can have the local models running with the API models. And they have a lot of little UI features that are nice to have, little quality of life stuff. They have workspaces. You can put in your own prompts to save and then run them as you see fit. So you're going to keep copying and pasting. A bunch of web search tools that you can either make yourself or the community has made them already. So you'll save a ton of money and took you less than 5 minutes. That's pretty much it. If you have any questions, you can just shoot me a DM or leave a comment.